Confrontation hits differently when you're not prepared for it. One moment you're calm, the next moment someone is pushing your buttons, challenging your peace, daring you to lose control. And most people do. Not because they're weak, but because nobody ever taught them how to stay centered when the world tries to pull them into chaos. But you're not here to be like most people. You're here to become unbreakable. You're here to learn the mindset of a man who walked into danger with the same calmness most people walk into their living room. Miyamoto Musashi, the undefeated samurai who mastered not just the sword, but the mind behind the sword. He discovered that the real battle isn't fought with weapons. It's fought inside you. Whoever controls their inner world controls every confrontation in the outer world. And today, I want you to stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to learn will change the way you handle conflict forever. The principles you will hear are powerful, real, and immediately usable. At work, at home, in public, in arguments, and in any situation where your peace is tested. Before we start, hit the subscribe button for the inner fortress, like this video, and share it with someone who needs strength in their spirit. This channel is building a tribe of disciplined minds, people who walk through the world with calmness, presence, and power. If you want to become one of them, stay locked in. Now let's begin with section 1. The mindset Musashi built that made his calmness more dangerous than any blade. 1. Musashi's foundation. The power of inner stillness in conflict. Musashi's strength didn't come from physical dominance. Many samurai were stronger. Many were more athletic. Some were even technically cleaner in their sword techniques. But Musashi had something rare. A mind that didn't shake even when lives were on the line. He carried a stillness that confused enemies, disarmed aggressors, and shifted the balance of power before a sword was ever drawn. That stillness wasn't silence. It wasn't passiveness. It wasn't weakness. It was control. Deep internal control, the kind that lets you stand, firm while someone else is losing themselves to anger or fear. The kind that makes people hesitate before stepping into your space. The kind that allows you to see everything clearly while the other person is blinded by emotion. Musashi understood early in his life that the real danger isn't the opponent in front of you. It's the chaos you allow inside you. If your emotions spike, your judgment weakens. If your mind races, your awareness shrinks. If your ego reacts, your strategy disappears. A person controlled by emotion is already halfway defeated. Musashi vowed never to live that way. He developed what he called the unmoved mind, not a mind frozen or inactive, but a mind that refuses to be hijacked by the energy of others. A mind that doesn't jump forward in anger or collapse backward into fear. A mind that stays rooted no matter how loud, aggressive, or disrespectful the world becomes. Imagine standing in front of someone who is trying to provoke you, shouting, insulting, demanding a reaction, and your heartbeat doesn't shift. You're not numb, you're not detached, but you're centered. You're breathing, you're steady. Your face doesn't flinch. Your energy doesn't spike. That level of calmness doesn't just protect you. It intimidates the other person. People expect emotional reactions. They expect anger. They expect raised voices. They expect you to be swept up in their storm. When you don't react, when you don't match their chaos, you disrupt their rhythm. They lose their script. They lose their confidence. Suddenly, they become the one who is off balance. That's exactly what Musashi mastered. His stillness forced opponents to reveal their weaknesses. Their fear became obvious. Their intentions became predictable. Their control fell apart. But here's the powerful truth. This skill isn't reserved for samurai or fighters. You can use it today. Every confrontation you face with a boss, a partner, a stranger, a customer, a relative is a battle for mental positioning. Whoever stays calm sees more. Whoever reacts least controls most. And whoever keeps their emotions steady makes better choices, wins more arguments, and walks away with dignity intact. Stillness gives you the advantage of clarity. When others get loud, your silence becomes loud. When others get emotional, your neutrality becomes intimidating. When others rush, your patience becomes power. Calmness isn't emptiness, it's focus. And Musashi built it through relentless discipline. He trained himself to notice his breath before noticing the threat. He trained himself to settle his thoughts before settling the conflict. He trained himself to be the quietest mind in the loudest moment. That is the real reason he walked away undefeated. Not because he never faced danger, but because danger could never enter him. Modern life may not put a sword in your hand, but it throws battles at you daily. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Someone disrespects you at work. Someone challenges you in public. Someone lies about you. Someone tries to embarrass you. These are confrontations that test your inner balance. If your emotions immediately take over, you're fighting blind. You say things you regret. You take actions that escalate the situation. You give other people control over your behavior. But when you stay still internally, you stay in command externally. The next time someone confronts you, remember Musashi's foundation. Do not allow anything from the outside to disturb what you control on the inside. Your mind is your sword. Keep it sharp, keep it steady, keep it yours. 2. Master your internal dialogue, controlling the mind before the moment. Musashi understood something most people never discover. Confrontation doesn't begin when the argument starts. It begins inside your head long before the first word is spoken. The way you talk to yourself, the way you interpret situations, the way you assign meaning to someone's tone or behavior. This is the battlefield most people never train for. And because they never train for it, they walk into confrontations already defeated by their own thoughts. Your internal dialogue shapes your emotional temperature. If your inner voice panics, you panic. If your inner voice gets angry, you react instantly. But if your inner voice stays neutral, grounded, observant, you step into the moment with control that most people can't even fake. Musashi trained his mind by stripping his thoughts of unnecessary noise. He would walk into a duel telling himself one thing: do not move until it is time. That wasn't about physical movement. It was about emotional movement. He refused to allow his mind to sprint ahead into anxiety or imagination. He didn't predict disaster. He didn't assume the worst. He didn't let thoughts spiral. This is where most people lose the fight. They rehearse negative scenarios. They assume disrespect before it happens. They build stories in their minds that turn small conflicts into explosions. Your mind becomes your enemy when you let it roam without discipline. To control confrontation, you must first control the narrative inside you. You must replace reactions with responses. Replace assumptions with clarity. Replace emotional stories with factual awareness. A simple technique Musashi lived by: see things as they are, not as your emotions paint them. If someone raises their voice, don't add the story: they're trying to embarrass me. If someone challenges you, don't add the story: they think I'm weak. If someone disagrees strongly, don't add the story: they're against me. Stories make the moment heavier than it truly is. Facts keep the situation light enough to handle. Controlling your internal dialogue also means controlling the physical sensations that come with confrontation. The heartbeat, the tension in your shoulders, the tightening in your chest. Musashi used breath as his anchor. He trained himself to breathe low and slow. In modern situations, this single action can stop your emotional system from hijacking your behavior. Before responding in a heated moment, ask yourself, is my mind leading me, or am I being dragged by emotion? Because once your internal dialogue shifts from calm observation to emotional storytelling, the confrontation becomes harder to navigate. But when your inner voice stays steady, the external world loses its ability to shake you. You become the one who sets the tone. You become the one who sees clearly. You become the one people respect, even in disagreement. Musashi believed that the person who controls themselves automatically controls the situation. That is the heart of mastering your internal dialogue. Training your mind to be a calm commander, not a frantic servant. 3. Musashi's rule of distance: how space creates power. Musashi's genius wasn't just mental, it was strategic. He understood something that most people ignore in conflict: distance is power. Not just physical distance, but emotional and psychological distance. When you create space, you gain perspective. When you gain perspective, you gain control. When you gain control, the confrontation belongs to you. Musashi realized early that people lose themselves when they let threats get too close. Emotionally close, physically close, mentally close. When something gets too close too fast, the natural instinct is panic, anger, or impulsive behavior. But when you maintain distance, you stay in the observer's position, and the observer always sees more than the participant. Let's bring this into real life with a punchy example. Imagine someone steps into your personal space, yelling, pointing fingers, trying to force you into a reaction. Most people either mirror the aggression or retreat into fear. Both give the other person power. But the Musashi way is different. You don't match their energy. You take one small step back, keep your breathing slow, and maintain a neutral expression. This creates psychological distance. Suddenly, they feel exposed because their aggression doesn't land. Their emotional punch hits air. You control the space now. Another example, a coworker tries to provoke you in a meeting. They question your work, your decision, or your competence. The immediate reaction would be to defend yourself aggressively. But distance means you don't let their tone enter your emotions. You separate their behavior from your identity. You respond with calm clarity, not insecurity. Everyone in the room sees the difference. One person is losing control, the other is holding the room with quiet authority. Musashi used distance to break the opponent's rhythm. When you don't engage emotionally, the other person becomes confused. They expected a heated response, but you didn't give it. They expected you to lose your cool, but you didn't move. That emotional stillness makes them question their attack. It forces them to reconsider their position. Distance also protects your dignity. Not everything deserves an immediate reaction. Not every insult deserves a reply. Not every confrontation requires you to match energy. When you create emotional distance, you stop letting people drag you into their personal storms. Their fear, insecurity, or anger no longer reaches you. You watch from a higher vantage point. You choose when to engage and when to disengage. This is the heart of Musashi's rule of distance. Control the space and you control the outcome. Control the space and you don't get trapped in emotional quicksand. Control the space and you gain power others don't expect. Before I continue, let me pause and appreciate you. Truly. Thank you for watching The Inner Fortress and supporting this mission to help people build emotional strength and real discipline. Your presence and your growth matter. 4. The art of non-reaction, winning before the fight begins. Non-reaction is one of the most misunderstood forms of power. To most people, reacting quickly feels like strength, snapping back with words, defending yourself instantly, matching tone with tone, fire with fire. But Musashi saw something deeper. The one who reacts first exposes themselves first. The one who reacts least controls the moment most. When you understand this, you stop treating confrontation like a storm you need to fight and start treating it like a wave you calmly stand through. Musashi wrote about the importance of timing. He explained that the opponent often defeats themselves by swinging too early, too wildly, or too emotionally. He didn't need to rush into anything. He let their emotional impulses create openings. In real life, the same thing happens. Someone gets angry too fast, someone talks too much, someone reveals personal insecurity in their insults. Their emotional explosion places them at a disadvantage. When you stay calm, you see everything clearly. Every weak point, every fear, every mistake they're unaware they're showing. Non-reaction is not silence. Silence without control is passiveness. Musashi's non-reaction was intentional. He didn't withhold response. Out of fear, he withheld response because he understood the power of letting the opponent reveal their intention before committing to his own. When you slow down your reactions, you force the other person to operate without your emotional cooperation. You're not giving them your energy, your tempo, or your emotional direction. This alone removes half of their power. Think about someone who tries to provoke you publicly. They expect you to flare up, defend yourself aggressively, or escalate the tension. When you don't, when your posture remains steady and your tone remains level, they suddenly feel foolish. Their performance becomes visible. Their aggression looks unnecessary. You create a mirror, and in that mirror, they see their own lack of discipline. Non-reaction isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about choosing not to perform for someone else's emotional benefit. One of the most powerful tools in non-reaction is emotional neutrality. It doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means your feelings do not govern your actions. You give yourself space to evaluate, is this situation truly a threat? Is this person worth my energy? What outcome do I want? How can I maintain dignity? This brief mental pause, even half a second, changes the entire direction of the confrontation. You shift from being controlled to being in control. Musashi mastered this through years of watching human behavior. He learned that people telegraph their intentions through their emotional spikes. Anger reveals impatience. Loudness reveals insecurity. Insults reveal fear. Even arrogance reveals fragility. Confident people don't need to prove anything. When someone behaves emotionally, they're giving you information. Your non-reaction allows you to gather that information without interruption. It sharpens your awareness. Imagine an argument with someone who expects chaos. When you don't give them chaos, they begin to lose balance. They repeat themselves. They search for new ways to provoke you. They get louder or angrier because they cannot synchronize you to their emotional frequency. They cannot lead you. Your refusal to react makes them realize that they do not control you. And when someone cannot control you emotionally, they lose confidence in their strategy. Non-reaction also prevents regret. Most people regret words said in anger, actions taken in impulse, and decisions made in emotional fog. Staying calm saves you from self-damage. It protects your reputation. It protects your relationships. It protects your self-respect. While others burn bridges through emotional outbursts, you preserve peace and authority with disciplined restraint. This doesn't mean you should never respond. Musashi wasn't passive, he was selective. He responded when it mattered, not when provoked. He acted when it was strategic, not when pressured. When you react only when you choose, not when others demand, you create psychological dominance. People recognize you as someone who cannot be easily shaken, someone who stands firmly, someone in control of themselves. That presence alone can end conflicts before they begin. Non-reaction isn't the absence of power. It is the containment of power. It tells the world I am strong enough to hold myself steady, and the person who can hold themselves steady can shape any conflict to their advantage. 5. Become unbreakable. Musashi's discipline of presence and control. Musashi's greatest weapon wasn't his sword. It was his presence. Presence is the ability to stay fully aware, grounded, and centered in the moment without being hijacked by fear, imagination, ego, or emotional triggers. When you're present, you see with clarity. You speak with intention. You act with purpose. You don't get pulled into old emotional patterns or instinctive reactions. Presence is the root of unbreakability. Most people lose confrontations because they leave the present moment. They worry about what others will think. They replay old arguments. They assume worst-case outcomes. They imagine embarrassment. They picture failure. Their mind jumps everywhere except here. Musashi didn't live in imagined places. He lived in the exact moment where his feet touched the ground. This gave him stability no opponent could shake. Presence creates calmness. When you focus on your breath, your senses, and the reality in front of you, not the stories in your head, your emotions naturally settle. Panic comes from the future. Shame comes from the past. Strength lives in the present. When confronted, Musashi's breathing slowed. His awareness expanded. He noticed details others missed. A shift in stance, a tremble in an opponent's hand, a sign of hesitation. Presence gave him power. Here's a real example you can apply today. Someone insults you in public. Most people feel a rush of heat, embarrassment, defensiveness, fear of judgment. They imagine everyone watching, everyone thinking something negative. Presence breaks that illusion. In reality, only one person is speaking. Only one voice exists. You breathe. You center yourself. You see the situation clearly. This is just a moment. This is just a person. Their words do not define my identity. Suddenly, what felt massive becomes small, manageable, almost irrelevant. Another modern example. A family member tries to guilt trip you emotionally. They bring up the past, try to manipulate your feelings, or create pressure to force you into compliance. Presence lets you see the tactic for what it is, a learned behavior, not a reflection of your worth. You stop reacting like the child you used to be. You respond as the grounded adult you have become. You refuse to be pulled into emotional looping. Your boundaries become firm, not aggressive. That is unbreakability. Presence protects you from manipulation. When you're rooted, people cannot twist your emotions easily. They cannot confuse you. They cannot make you doubt your decisions. They cannot use surprise or intimidation to break your balance. You become someone who thinks clearly even in pressure. Someone who responds with logic even when attacked emotionally. Someone who maintains dignity even when disrespected. Musashi taught that control begins with awareness. You cannot control what you cannot sense. You cannot calm what you cannot observe. When you're present, you feel the rising emotion before it overtakes you. You catch the anger as it forms. You notice the anxiety before it spreads. You recognize the trigger before it grabs you. This moment of awareness becomes your turning point, your chance to choose strength instead of reaction. To become unbreakable, practice presence daily. Notice your breathing, feel your feet on the ground. Slow your internal pace when others rush you. Listen completely before responding. See conflict as information, not threat. Presence turns you into a quiet storm, stable, controlled, impossible to push. A person like this cannot be humiliated, manipulated, or emotionally dragged where they don't choose to go. A person like this becomes respected without asking, feared without threatening, and trusted without trying. Thank you for watching, growing, and supporting the Inner Fortress. Your presence here matters deeply. Subscribe, like, and share so we can keep building a community of strong, calm, unshakable minds. Strength isn't loud. Power isn't violent. And being unbreakable has nothing to do with winning every argument. It's about mastering yourself so deeply that no one can pull you out of your center. If you carry Musashi's principles with you, confrontations won't shake you anymore. Disrespect won't define you. Pressure won't break you. You'll walk through the world with a calmness that demands respect and a presence that people feel before you even speak. This is how warriors are made today. Not with swords, but with discipline, clarity, and emotional control. And if you've watched until this moment, it means you're not just interested in strength. You're committed to building it. I appreciate you for staying with me, for choosing growth, and for choosing to build your inner fortress. If this message strengthened you today, hit subscribe and keep building your inner fortress. Don't leave without joining the community. Tap subscribe and grow with us. Like this video if you're committed to becoming mentally unbreakable. Share this with someone who needs strength, clarity, and emotional discipline today. Drop a comment and tell me the Musashi principle that hit you the hardest. If you want more calmness, presence, and power in your life, subscribe right now. Push this video out to more warriors. Hit the like button. Join thousands building disciplined minds. Tap subscribe and stay consistent. Let this message ripple into someone else's life. Share it with one person now. Turn on notifications so you never miss a lesson that could change your mindset. Stay disciplined, stay present, stay unbreakable, and I'll see you in the next one.